Hi, Stacey at Hingham Jewelers again. Today we're going to touch on diamonds. I know there's a lot of you out there right now that probably were thinking about getting engaged, maybe even thinking about doing it this spring or summer, and the way the world's going right now, it's thrown us a monkey wrench, so you're probably a little delayed in the process. So I'm going to touch on just the basics of things you should start to consider if you're thinking about getting an engagement ring. This is by no means meant to be the end all. This is just starting to talk about the process. The most important thing that I want you to hear from this is you need to be comfortable no matter where you decide to go with the person you're working with. There's no silly question. There's nothing that you should be asking that someone looks at you as though you're crazy. We're professionals. We're trained to do this. We do this day in and day out. But for a first-time buyer, it's really overwhelming and can be nervous. So take a deep breath. I'm going to try to walk you through the basics and keep it super simple. We've all heard about the 4 C's of a diamond: the cut, the clarity, the carat weight. Those are going to be and the color. This is a very old diagram, but it really spells it out simply. I think everybody's familiar with the carat weight. There's 100 points to a carat. So if you have a carat and a quarter, it's a 1.25 diamond. That's the size of it. Carat and a half, 1.50. You get the idea. That's the simple part. The clarity and the color are 2 things that are graded. Normally they're graded by an independent lab, and a diamond would come with some certification, but we'll talk about that on another day. It's really easy, but people get confused by it. The color grades start at D, not A, not B, but D, and they go all the way down to Z. Now, the interesting thing about the color is it's actually the absence of color that we're discussing. So D, E, F, those are the 3 highest grades that have the least amount of color. As we progress down, little subtle changes will show and you'll begin to see more color. Now again, this is someone who's got a trained eye. You as a consumer may not see the difference. You may not see the difference between a D and a J. You probably will, but you might not. A D and an E, forget it. It's impossible almost, even for an expert. So just keep those factors in mind. Your clarity. This is an illustration of what the inclusions look like in a diamond. Now, too often when people talk about clarity, they consider inclusions to be imperfections. These are not imperfections. This is the fingerprint of the diamond that you're buying. Imperfections is a sweater with 3 arms. This is the fingerprint. No 2 diamonds are alike. Not if they're graded the same with the exact same color, they are not identical. So just keep that in mind. As we progress down, we start with a flawless diamond. As we go down, this is under 10 power magnification, the number of inclusions and the position of the inclusions determines the grading. So we go from very, very slightly, which is a VVS, very slightly, VS, an SI, which is slightly included. Now, these categories are broken up within 2 categories. When we get to an I is something you would see with your naked eye. The most important thing, I feel, is talking about the cut of a diamond. Often people think that's the shape. It's not the shape. We'll talk about those shapes in a minute. But the cut is the proportions of a diamond. Again, this is a really simple illustration, but it kind of starts to touch on what I'm talking about. These 3 illustrations talk about or show 3 different ways a diamond can be cut. This diamond here, if you look closely, is a little too wide on the top. So what happens is the light comes in and the light leaks out through the bottom or the side. This diamond is a little too chunky on the top. Same thing happens. The light comes in, it goes out through the bottom or the top. This is an ideal cut diamond, which is ideally what you want. The light comes in, it reflects, comes back to the eye, which brings you the brilliance and the scintillation of a diamond. In other words, the sparkle. So that covers really just the basic. Keep in mind, there's no 2 diamonds alike. All those factors together are going to determine the price of a diamond. It's not one thing alone. But again, you want to see this diamond and you want to love the diamond that you choose. Okay, now I'm just going to give you a quick illustration of the shapes that I was talking about. A lot of people confuse this with the cut. It's not the cut, this is the shape of the stone. So this one here is an emerald cut. You see this has an accent of some little diamonds on the side. This is becoming very popular in white gold. The one above It's probably the top seller right now, which is an oval cut diamond. This one has a really interesting band because it's two that are twisted together, and some people like that, the beginning of You and Me. Here we have a white gold classic round with a small halo around it. Above it, we have a round diamond which is set in rose gold, which I just thought would be something interesting to show. And the last one here is a pear-shaped halo, just another different shape.